USA van. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American.
What's going on, Patriots? Glad you could join us today. We got a great guest with you. Got a good show for you. But let me tell you guys, we have a fighter in the building. We got somebody who decided to interrupt his everyday life, a blue collar guy, just like me, just like you, who said enough is enough. I've had enough of this shit and I need to go out, and somebody's got to do it. And if somebody's got to do it, I'll do it. Now, I don't know where that's coming from, but let me fix that. So if you could join us today, we got a great, I don't know where that's coming from, but there it is. Anyway, he decided that he was going to run for Congress. He decided that someone had to do it. Why not be him? Right? How many of us thought in a million times, if something has to happen and these guys aren't doing it, what would you do if you were in the position to do something about it? What would you do? I mean, that's the big question. Well, Damon, obviously he has a plan, and he's a blue collar worker. He gets up every day, puts his pant leg on one at a time, just like me and you, throws on his work boots. He's a union guy, and he sees this bullshit happening everywhere in the world. The BLM riots, the immigration, inflation, just the rampant crime. And he decided, I'm going to leave my comfy life where I'm at right now, raising my family, doing what I do. And I'm going to step out into this uncomfortable place because I got to defend my city. I got to defend my state. I got to defend my family. I have to defend the country because these imbeciles are not doing it. Let me introduce you to him this way. When we come right back after this ad, we're going to bring Damon up to talk to you. Take a listen.
Hi, my name is Damon Galdo, and I'm running for Congress. For the past 4 years, Joe Biden and the Democrats have wreaked havoc on our country. Inflation is out of control, making it nearly impossible for families to afford to live. Crime is through the roof, making it unsafe even to walk out your front door. Our border is overflowing with illegal immigrants, and with them, they're bringing drugs, they're trafficking children, and much worse. Your current Congressman, Donald Norcross, has voted to let every one of these things happen to you and the ones you love. Here in New Jersey's 1st District, we need serious change in leadership. We need to send someone to Congress who will stand up for the people and work to build back what we had just a few short years ago. When I'm in Congress, I will do everything in my power to fight inflation, restore law and order, end the ongoing crisis at our southern border, and otherwise create a better reality for all Americans. This is not the America that we grew up in. Is this the America that you want for your children? You need to send a fighter to Congress who will stand up for what is right. So go to votedamongaldo.com today and join me in this fight. Thank you. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.
This ad was paid for by Damon M. Galdo for Congress.
There he is. And so welcome to the program with me, my co-host, none other than the native patriot, and Damon Galdo for Congress. Guys, welcome.
Welcome, Damon. I just got to say here on the outset that I love the way you ended your ad there, because that's one of the things that I do as well. And I mean, saying God bless you all, God bless the United States of America. I mean, that's a good sentiment to have, and I'm really happy that we got you on the show.
Thank you. That's what I'm here for. God bless everyone in the United States of America, because we all live in it, and we need to, secure, our border and secure everything else. And we'll get into that later, but we have to secure a future for our children in this country. That's the most important thing.
So, Damon, go ahead. I don't want to hurt you.
I just want to say absolutely, and I fully agree with you. I'm really excited to have someone on the show that it's an everyday worker, just like Eddie and I, just like a lot of our viewers. We're out there keeping America rolling. I personally change tires for a living, so I keep America rolling one tire at a time. And based on what I saw back in 2020, and I mean that really kind of woke me up And I decided that I need to start speaking out and speaking up. And, my pathway has led me to this point. And yours, man, you're going into Congress, that's a whole different beast.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about your background, Damon. I want to know a little bit about you.
Well, I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I moved to New Jersey about 3 years ago in West Effort, and that's the district that I'm running in, which covers Camden County, Gloucester County, and a little bit of Burlington County. But the reason why I chose to run that, first of all, I'll go with this. I love my job. I'm in construction. I'm a union carpenter, and I'm a superintendent. I build commercial buildings, and I love what I do for a living. But when I had my children, I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son, and I started to really follow politics pretty hard. I mean, I always did, before them as well, but I got way more into it because I looked at what future will they have, because I saw this, my state of New Jersey and this country going in a wrong direction. And, all the, the debt that we're in, that my great grandchildren will be paying for. And I just didn't see a good future for, like I said, not just my children, everyone else's children. And I know we were heading south. So I figured, I'll go with this. I have a quote on my wall in my man cave, I'll say, even though my kids took it over by now. But it's a quote by Edmund Burke, that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
Exactly.
So
right.
I figured somebody had to step up and do something. Wasn't something I ever thought of, but I felt that I needed to do it. And that's where I'm at. And I know I need to do it, and I want to do it because I need to make change. I need to secure a future for my family.
Let me start off by doing this. Let's show everybody why Damon's running graphically. Let's take a look at this.
Third straight night, Portland police declared a riot.
The vast majority of the protest has been peaceful.
Over the weekend, 59 officers injured and 47 people arrested.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announcing a proposal to cut $1 billion from the New York City Police Department.
We need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
This has been declared a riot.
There you go. And
That's
that
what
right
happened.
there, yes, that right there is what got me going. Because I was growing up in Philly and living in Philly 3 years ago. That's when all this went down. Mm-hmm. Now, I had to, every store was shut down. Every store was boarded up. I couldn't even buy diapers for my son. I had to go to Delaware. I had to go to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. I had to send my wife and kids to my in-laws' house in New Jersey because of what was going on in my neighborhood in Philadelphia. Just what you just saw right there, what you showed right there. And that is what lit a fire under me. And
I think it's really easy for a lot of people to forget just how violent those riots were, because for the past 4 years, or I guess for the past 3 years, all we've heard about was January 6th and how our democracy was almost ended at that point in time. But if you look at the whole year before that, there were violent riots where dozens of innocent people were killed. Thousands of businesses were burnt to the ground, or were severely damaged or burnt to the ground. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, people have just kind of memory hold a lot of these riots because the media downplayed it. And I mean, the people running, like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they actually started a fundraiser to get these rioters out of prison. I mean,
then denied it, and then denied that they did.
Oh,
that.
yes. The entire series of events leading up to January 6th, and I think that's partially what contributed to it as well. But the entire series of events was downplayed completely, and it still is to this day. Like, if you lived in one of those areas, like you living in Philadelphia, that has to stick with you. And we actually, I mean, it's good to play a video like that because it just reminds people. I mean, that flooded back a whole bunch of memories for me, and just thinking like, wow. I mean, it actually there were so many places where it got really, really bad, and we can't exclude that from happening in the future. So in order to stop that, I mean, you're doing it in the most legitimate way possible. You're stepping up and you're getting into government, and you're actually trying to make a difference from a legitimate standpoint. So, I mean, kudos to that. But yeah, I mean, people really need to remember how bad it really was back then. And
America has a very short memory. I mean, it lasts for about 2-3 months, right? Because I can tell you, I remember those riots, and I remember the stories. I remember a church parishioner saying that we were all inside, we were kneeling, and we were praying, and then we heard a window bust, and behind us, they were throwing Molotov cocktails into the church while people were inside praying. Yeah, mostly peaceful, my ass, and the whole BLM movement's trash, and the same thing with the Antifa movement. It's no different. They don't want anything other than chaos. They just want to tear down and destroy. Matter of fact, they've never said what they want on the other side of protesting. They've never said we're working for or toward this particular end. The end that we know they work for, they admitted on TV, was Marxism. So we need someone to go and get in office and actually hold people accountable, and not just these people, but the people in office, like the one that was in that video, Ilhan Omar, who was out there egging the protesters on, who's a member of the DSA. These types of people, the Rashida Tlaibs, the Cory Bookers, what's the other one's name? Oh man, it's gonna bother the shit out of me until I remember it. But these people are a part of a group who praises Hamas for what happened on October the 7th. Yeah, the whole squad. Jamal Bowman, the one who pulled the fire alarm and tried to say he thought it was a door.
He used to be a principal. Doesn't know how fire alarms work. I
want to correct something that you said. That you said we need someone, which we do need someone, but we need more than one, right? We need many patriots of this country to stand up, and it doesn't matter what job you work. Like you said, you've been working construction your whole life, and I feel like your message, as far as it resonating with people, right? I mean, you have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. You said, I got a 10-year-old and a 1-year-old. So yeah, he's one. So I kind of feel that where, as soon as I had my kid and he started to grow up, I had to look around. I'm like, all right, what kind of world is he going to grow up in? And what can I do to make it the best place it can be? Not to like be a snowplow parent where, you take care of everything for your kid, but what kind of world is he going to grow up in? And from what I saw over the past, I guess I've been 5 years kind of paying attention. Well, I've been paying attention for about 9 years now, really. Maybe 9 years, I'll say. Since about 2015 is when I actually started looking around. And it has just been chaos. And the people in government don't act like adults, and they don't act like they love this country. They'll mouth the words, but I judge people based on their actions, because actions will always speak louder than words. So someone who has a career proven in something that is, it's in a lot of ways a thankless job, construction. You get to see the beautiful buildings that you put up and everything, but you don't have people lining up to meet you, or fundraisers out there, getting you money for building these buildings. So
we get mugs when we're done. We get mugs with the buildings. We get cups.
Oh, there it is.
We might get a shirt. What do you do to
see a patriot like that?
What do you do day one? You walk in office. You get elected. Now what? What is your first?
Well, for one, I might get thrown out of my first congressional hearing for going in there and calling them children. So, because that's what they act like. Because basically, the way I see it, I used to talk about change. I would say it all the time. I hoped it was possible, and basically, I used to dream of a better America and get us back to where we were. That's why my slogan is "Build Back Where We Had." But what I realize is, it's not what we say, it's not what we hope. And it's certainly not what we dream, but it's what we do that defines us. And that's when somebody has to step up and do it. And when you go back to the protests we were just talking about, fiery, but mostly peaceful. I mean, the amount of money that it caused, billions of dollars in damage. I
Took
think
over an entire city block and kicked the police out. Tried to burn down the federal courthouse.
Like
they left a dead boy. They left a dead boy in that chop zone for a day and a half while his mother and father were on the other side of that line, and they wouldn't let the ambulance in. And that was a black man. So when they tell you that they did this for, for BLM, for those purposes, they don't care, because where are they at when the little kids get shot in the crossfire by drug dealers in those neighborhoods? But BLM doesn't show up, right?
No, absolutely right.
But we do.
They're a bunch of scammers. That's basically what it is. And everyone has everything backwards. I mean, we've been infiltrated by these woke radical left ideas. Yes, exactly. The Marxist, it's unbelievable. And the thing is, the way I look at it is, people have had their head buried in the sand pretty much. And the way I'm not blaming anybody else, because I was almost the same way. If you're a Republican, conservative, and you look at things the same way. You believe in the nuclear family. You believe in going to work every day to take care of your family, pay your taxes, maybe go on a vacation, once or twice a year, and spend time with your family. So, but the far left don't believe in the nuclear family. They don't believe in even working, half of them. And
they're actively trying to destroy it.
Yeah. And they have a lot more time on their hands than people like us. So it's a lot harder. So we have to work a lot harder than they do, because they've taken over mainstream media.
Put a million hurdles in our way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're right. And it's not fair, but life isn't fair. But we have to work even harder and to keep the American dream, what American was built upon. And that's, we're built on Judeo-Christian values. And it doesn't just have to be that. And I always tell people, you don't even have to believe in God. It's just the values that built this country. And if everyone lives by those values, then we'll go back to normal. But we lost all of that.
Yeah, I told you the other day when we were talking, those people who don't believe in God better, thank God that people who created this country did, because if it wasn't for that, they would be getting their rights from a man, and a man can very easily change his mind. As you see, we have a guy in office right now that continually overreaches power. I mean, to the point of trying to take your damn water heater away, to the point of trying to take your stove out of your house and make you register your garden, like literally. I mean, he's a thankless twerp. I mean, the guy can't remember a damn thing. Did you see him mispronounce the girl's name, Lincoln Riley, last night? And I mean, what an embarrassing, just absolutely embarrassing thing. Here, I got the clip right here. Take a look.
I'd be a winner. Not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic.
Listen, he said he started off by saying that her name and that she was killed by an illegal, but then he played it down, like almost spitting on the grave of the girl by saying, but how many people are killed by legals? Like to say that it's no difference. One you can protect, one you can stop, you can kill, you can cut that border off. If you want, Trump did it, why can't he?
Yeah, well, look at it this way. I mean, people make the case all the time that legal American citizens that are here legally commit more crime than illegals. Okay, yeah, sure. But I make the case that illegal immigrants that committed these crimes, that murdered Lincoln Riley and raped that 14-year-old girl and all that stuff, it should never happen because they're not supposed to be here. That's why they're illegal aliens. So I don't care about the statistics and the percentages. They shouldn't have been here to begin with. So that's where I stand with it.
Yeah, exactly. What's really funny about that is like when they try to argue that, like, legal citizens commit more crimes than illegals. It's like, do you realize what you just said? The illegals that
are outnumbered,
they're
immensely outnumbered.
They're here illegally, so they've already committed a crime. So there's one. You started with one already.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they start with
this,
one. Every single one of them committed a crime.
If one innocent life is taken, even one that didn't have to be lost because you let someone come into this country illegally and you propped it up and you paid for them, you paid for their hotel and their airfare and all that. He probably sent that illegal immigrant to the city, paid for his airfare that ended up killing that girl.
You know, that was kind of heck. Oh,
no,
he was kind of heck.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, well, Damon. Go ahead, bud.
So no, I just wanted to bring it full circle. Now think about this. The UN is actually giving migrants vouchers and Visa gift cards to travel to our border to cross legally into our
with American funding. They're giving them maps. They're giving them places, the hotels where they can stay. They're telling them the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're the biggest funder of the UN. So we're taxpayers are not only funding them to come to our border and cross it illegally. Once they cross the border illegally, then we're funding them to stay here, to live here, to get food stamps, housing.
Did you notice that we cut the food stamps? We cut the food stamps for American citizens just recently so that the Department of Agriculture can give them more benefits. In California, actually just put a law through that allows for the state alone to give the immigrants a 20% down for a home so they don't end up having to pay PMI. They don't have to make monthly payments on the house. So I said to myself when I was reading this, how the hell do they pay the loan back if they don't have to make monthly payments? They don't have to pay PMI because they gave them 20% down. And as long as they pay the proceeds back, if they sell the house, that's how they pay it back. Have you ever heard of such a program for an American citizen? Never existed.
Yeah, exactly. You have kids that are going to college and coming out of college in massive debt. And they go to college. What they go for, most of them don't even get a job in that field. So they come home from college, they're $100,000 in debt, say, and then
more.
Yeah, or
and
more.
Indoctrinated.
Yeah, being indoctrinated, and then Biden wants to relieve their debt for people that didn't go to college, like myself, or people that did go to college and already paid off their loan. So that's more taxpayer dollars funding that too. So it's a full circle all around. It's. I'm going to go back to what was it, Bronx Tale, when he said the working man's a sucker, and that's how I feel. That's how everyone feels, because we're the ones that go to work and bust their asses every single day, and we do what's right, and we pay our taxes, and we take care of our families, and then we get screwed in the end. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the thing is, we have to get it out to people, because a lot of, like I said before, a lot of Republican people and conservatives, they're busy. They're raising their families. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They don't pay attention. They don't look it up, and they watch mainstream media and they hear the lies that they spew. But we have to get out there and give them the information, easy access. Say, don't believe me. I'm just telling you. Here you go. Here's the information. You go look it up yourself, and then tell me what you think. And that's what I've been doing with people, and it's resonating with a lot of people. I mean, you look at District 1 in New Jersey, just in the past month, they lost 1,000 Democratic voters. 1,000. And the reason, and I don't know if I'm part of it, but I'll take the credit for it. But I've been putting signs up in different stores with a QR scanner saying, scan me to register to vote, or scan me to change your party. It literally takes 5 minutes. And that's what the sign says. So when I was setting them up in different stores, people that allowed me to do it, and most didn't just allow me, they wanted me to do it. And when I was there, certain people there say, hey, what's this sign? As I was putting it up. And I told them what it was. And I said, listen, it really takes 5 minutes. It takes you right to NewJersey.gov. All you have to do is put in, just put in your name, your social security number, your license number, your address, hit Republican, boom, done. And it's that fast. And people did it when I was there. And they were like, wow, that was easy. And it goes right
That's
to
awesome.
And so that's what I've been doing as well. And it seems to be working.
So we got to talking a little bit about jobs report before we came on, and you were looking for specific numbers, and I ended up getting those numbers. Now, do you remember he said last night that we were 15 million more jobs were added to the economy since he took over, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You remember that?
Yep.
Well, we were talking about the fact that just because the unemployment numbers are sitting at 3.7 does not mean that more people are working. In fact, they fell off of the unemployment doles and ended up going into the welfare doles. And I know that because of this. In 2018, we had 39.7 million people on welfare in 2018. Take a wild guess how many we have in 2023.
What was it? It was like something around 67 million, around there.
65.7 million people. It doubled.
Yeah.
It doubled.
Yeah.
So when he tells you there are more people working, he's full of it.
Yeah, everything's a lie. They jumble all the numbers up all the time, and they lie all the time.
Wow.
So if you look at it, when someone's collecting unemployment and their unemployment benefits run out, then they come off of that, off of the list, and it looks like they went back to work. That's the way they play it. But no, they got on welfare because they didn't go back to work and they're collecting government benefits, and that's the way they want it, and they play those numbers that way. And all the jobs they say they created, they didn't create them. They were because of COVID. There were jobs that businesses were
naturally
shut down.
came back just as that place opened up.
Yeah. We were in an economic coma at that point because of COVID. And then once we came out of it, then boom, people went back to work. So it takes credit for it, and there's no credit.
He took credit for all the unessential workers he told couldn't work. Yeah, that's what he did.
I mean, that's why we have to educate people more and more, because mainstream media, they're ruining everything. They lie about everything. I'll give it to the Democrats. They played a long game, and they've been playing for a while, and they got a hold of mainstream media, and that's what most people watch, and that's what they believe. But you can't anymore. You have to do your own homework, and a lot of people don't want to do it. So you have to educate them yourselves, and at the same time say, don't believe me, look it up yourself. Here is the information. I want you to look it up yourself. Give you easy access. Boom, here, and look it up.
And then I think that's I think that's one of the best possible things that you can do. Because there's that old saying, you give a man to fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, and you feed him for the rest of his life, right?
That's right.
That's kind of the same thing that you're doing with information. And we just, Eddie and I talk about this quite often, is that there's two kinds of people right now in this country. That there's people that absorb the news, or they absorb the information that they're told on the news. They just passively accept it as the truth. And then there's people that actively seek the truth. So there you have to, there's a difference between just passively taking in the news and just accepting that as reality, and then regurgitating the lines that you hear, as opposed to being able to, I guess, have the skills to know that there's more than one source, and to be able to put, different stories together to find the truth. So there, with the overload of information that we have, you're absolutely right. We have to go out and look for the truth, and to be able to piece all this information together. So it is a skill, but that's definitely a better way to go about it. I like the way you said that.
So we're going to take a break to the sponsor real quick. We'll be right back in about 40 seconds, guys.
Got it.
Military use when they need unlimited power during critical missions. Civilians like you can now get their hands on the exact same technology within 24 hours for pennies on the dollar. Folks, as a former infantry soldier, I can tell you this is the best and cheapest way to get reliable, unlimited energy. And no, I'm not talking about regular generators or the expensive solar panels. You don't have to be an electrician to do it. There's no maintenance needed. It doesn't take up a lot of space. And the best part, you won't need to rely on the power grid anymore. Click below now and hit play.
So, guys, go ahead to the patriotsprayer.com. Click the link at the top that says blackout. What he's got there is a book, and that book tells you what, in no other way to say it, really, that if shit hits the fan and you don't have power, or you think that it's got a million hacks in there about what you can do in those types of situations to get power on, to start to be able to take care of your family if something bad happens. And guys, I mean, I hate to say it, and I don't want to be an alarmist, but I mean, we stand a very good chance of that this year. 2024, we've seen a million attempts at trying to throw Trump off the ticket. It looks like they're going to try anything and everything to make sure that he cannot be the nominee. And they're not done yet because the election hasn't happened yet. I mean, and I just hate to see what the world looks like the day after they try to tell us Biden won again. So go over there, click that blackout link today and get yours for real. So, Damon,
you make me want to buy one now after you said buy.
Go click that blackout link. You know, they got another one on there for a famine. There's a Devil's Dollar. There's they sell MREs, the food that around for a long time. Man, listen, if something bad happens, if those riots happen, you just talked about it. You had to drive to another state to get diapers.
Yes.
People rely too much on the infrastructure. They rely so much on that grocery store being open and all that. And it doesn't take much to happen to make sure you don't have access to any of that. So if you don't have something stored up for yourself, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble.
Also,
so
knowledge,
don't be naive.
knowledge is power, right? So information is really key. And if, like you said, shit did hit the fan, having a hard copy book of something that has a wealth of information in it will be one of the most beneficial things that you can have. Because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my memory isn't great with, you know, a lot of the times you can just look something up on Google really quick, or you can look something up.
But that won't be available.
Yes. So that having a hard copy book of a wealth of knowledge is a great thing to have. So, like you said.
So we talked right before we went on break. 39.7 million to 65.7 million. We're creating a permanent class of people that are going to be in entitlements. I grew up in Baltimore City. We talked about that a bit. I know a little bit about people who go on welfare and never come off ever. And the reason why is because you prop a person up, and then they build their whole life around the fact that they're getting that check each month. So if you take that away, they literally go homeless, hungry, and everything else because they have never learned to do a damn. I know people 40, 50 years old that have never worked a single day in their life. And that's a real number. Literally never worked a day in their life. How do we get those people into a system or a situation where they're taking care of themselves? What do you do to the welfare system? What do you do to fix these types of situations, especially in the inner city where they're very prevalent? What does welfare reform look like to you?
Well, you have to start choking it off. You can't go further than where we're at now. That's number one, because the further we keep going, the more it's going to be prevalent. And you have generations on welfare. And the way that our government has been going is they're doing it to keep people on welfare, to make them rely on government and not themselves. And that's the whole socialist part of it, you know, and they that's their whole point. That's their game. That's the Democrats' game anyway. Mm-hmm. So we have to start choking it off and start dialing it back little by little. You can't just eliminate it, because then it'll be
chaos.
Chaos in the streets. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but you have to start dialing it back slowly, getting programs out there for people to go to work. Say, okay, listen, you've been collecting welfare for this long. Why? You know, what's your problem? Have somebody that oversees it, like oversight for it as well. And so,
what about drug testing?
Yes, I was getting to that. That was going to be my next thing. You know, if you're collecting welfare and you're using drugs off of welfare money, then you get cut off, and it's that simple. I mean, it's going to cause ruckus among people, but it is what it is. We have to make a change. Now, I'm talking about a slowly dialing back from it, because it's going to take a long time for that. But yeah, the drug testing, absolutely, right away. That's what it should be. Drug test, and if you come up positive for drugs and your own welfare on taxpayer dollars, and you're buying drugs with taxpayer dollars, and you say you can't work, but yet you can use drugs, then you're done. You're cut off. That's it.
And I got a question for both of you, and neither one of you can answer it. If I'm on welfare and I have 2 children, and I come to you and I'm applying for benefits, and I stay on these benefits for a couple of years, and in those couple of years I acquire a few more children. Now I have 4 children, no father, and I'm still on welfare. At what point does it become neglect to continue to have children that you can't take care of? It's a hard question.
Well, that's a lot of bad choices back to back to back.
At that point, what you just said, if you can't take care of the 2 children that you have, and you decide to have 2 more that you can't take care of, then there you go. There's the neglect point right there. That's what it is. But the thing is because they have access to it. So it's like, okay, well, I can do whatever I want because the government's going to give me money. And if I want to have more kids, or if I have more kids on accident, there's, oops kids out there that happens, and doesn't matter, which is fine with me. But if you can't take care of
but they're teaching children in the classrooms, they're asking them, I mean, we've all seen these news reports where teachers are passing out to sixth graders and that, hey, what's your favorite sexual position? And all these, they're putting these queer gender books in the libraries. Kids are being sexualized at a very young age right now. And they're in doing so with no guardrails whatsoever. It's whatever you want to do, whoever you want to do it with. What is that?
Let me start on that. I'm part of the New Jersey project. And basically what it is Governor Phil Murphy passed laws.
I'm not sure whose that is. That's on your end, Damon. That's on. Okay, there it is. Whatever it is done now.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
Whoa.
Can you hear me?
Well. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So no, Governor Murphy in state of New Jersey, he passed laws, and I'm part of the New Jersey project, and Nikki Stolford is her name, and she is a lawyer that's suing the school districts as like basically a cease and desist to take these.
What is the New Jersey project?
Nikki Stolford started it, and it's basically a lawsuit against the school districts, but to not teach what they're teaching. Take those books that you were talking about out of school, and don't allow
adult sexual content in schools.
Exactly. Yeah. They have books in there that show how to have anal sex, anal sex, how to have oral sex, and they're in the libraries, in from kindergarten and up.
I think this is a lot of the reason why we end up with so many welfare recipients at such a young age, because we sexualize these kids and we give them no morality whatsoever. We tell them everything moral or good is relative, meaning, oh, that's your truth, not my truth. So we have no standard for the world. We have no standard for our society. We just removed all those. And then, last year we saw it at what was the Target? Target was selling onesie bathing suits for boys to make them look like girls. And it came with a little booklet for 10-year-olds to teach them how to tuck their genitalia so they can look like a girl in the bathing suit.
Yes. And I mean, I don't know if I can take credit for that or not, but all the pictures they put on Fox News and Target, my wife took them and sent them to me, and I posted them on social media, and they were the same exact pictures. So I don't know if they pulled them off of that, but they never gave me credit for it. But I don't know if I could take credit for it or not. But it was the same exact pictures in the aisle that Fox News was showing. So
awesome.
Fox, get back to me. So give me credit for that.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is an entirely part of the Marxist agenda, right? Destroy the nuclear family. And one of the best ways to do that is to target children, because it's hard to break up families right now, right? Like if you're married, like nobody's separating me from my wife and my kids. Like that's set in stone. So what they've done is they've set their sights on the next generation of the nuclear family. So instead of these kids growing up and then seeking marriage under God, creating that union to create and bring more life into this world, they want to teach them this sexual promiscuity where it just, you can just do it with anybody at any time, and it's just a transaction between two people. So that's part of the way that they are destroying the nuclear family, is by attacking the next generation. Because I mean, like I said, it is almost impossible to break up the family now, although I have seen it happen. But it is a lot more difficult to break up the nuclear family now than it is to target the next generation. And attacking the minds of children this way is dark and demented, and it is evil. So, man, I'm glad
we do it at the union level. We have to do something with the teachers unions. Teachers unions are the ones that are funding these things, and then they're protecting the teachers, and they're also allowing the teachers to teach at a lower standard. So, and because their jobs are, you know how hard it is to fire a teacher? It's ridiculously hard. And they don't have to really do much. I mean, they can come to school, hand out pamphlets, and keep their jobs. I mean, we need an education system that actually educates the kids. And that education system can't be ran by talking points from the Department of Education. It has to be on a state level. And in that way, we all have standards. We don't want the federal government deciding how our kids are taught in school, because otherwise you end up with what we have now. So how do you do that in New Jersey, and what's your angle there?
Well, one thing is I don't co-parent with the government. They're my kids. I raised them. I made them. They're my children. So I don't co-parent with the government. That's number one. And so the removal of institutions in society, like God and just social, communities and stuff like that.
Yeah, the guidance by, the Ten Commandments. I mean, basic things like that. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So the removal of that's been going on for a long time, and even just social media is killing a lot of that American-made, American-born stuff where people used to get together, and you had a society that was together. Everyone knew everyone in the neighborhood. Now everyone knows everybody digitally, and they don't have that human connection. So when you remove those institutions, that's where it starts. And when it goes to the teachers' unions, I 100% agree with you, because I am a union carpenter, but I'm a trades union. We're self-sustaining. We pay for everything, our own annuity, healthcare. We build commercial buildings. We don't take any taxpayer dollars. Teachers unions do, but the teachers union, and you're right, it is so hard to fire them. And so I am against government unions, but I'm not against trade unions. But I can get into that later. I'm having a little bit of beef with my union because I'm running Republican, but not too much. But
the problem with that though is that I don't meet too many union, and I work around union guys all day long, all day. I only know one who doesn't like Trump, but he also doesn't like Biden. And so he's kind of in that camp. But I don't, we all know that the unions, typically it's like, yes, you want it. They even tell you, or in the past they have, where they'll tell you, they'll pick you up on buses. They'll take you to where you need to go to vote. And they'll even give you the card of the people they expect you to vote for. I don't think they're going to get that this time. I don't think they can sway elections anymore. I don't think that they have the ability to make people vote Democrat. I don't think that people are willing to take that risk anymore, to think that, well, it used to be we get paid with more contracts. We would get government contracts, and the lobbyists the money would flow from the union to the government and then back to the union in the form of contracts. Well, if there's no city to have a damn contract to build any damn thing because everything's burning to the ground, or you can't go out to the movies with your family unless you have Kevlar vests on. I mean, what's the point? So I don't think that they have that anymore. I don't think they have the reach. I don't think they have the power that they used to have to get people elected. And that's just me. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Sure feels that way.
Well, they still do, because I'll tell you why. They're still backing Democrats. The upper echelon of the delegates, the business agents, and they keep pushing Democrat all the time. And that's what they're used to. And whatever deals they have made, they're deals. But the rank and file people working out in the field, they're not voting Democrat. Because there's guys that are ready to retire. They were ready to go, but then they lost a lot of money in their annuity. Our pension fund dropped because we switched into U.S. Treasury and bonds, which went to shit pretty much with this economy. And the government just produces new bonds, and your bond's done after that. So you lose all that money. So we lost a lot of money in our pension. So there's guys that can't retire that were ready to retire, and they're pissed off about it, and they have every right to be. And they're tired of the Democrats, shoving things down their throats. But the only thing is they're afraid to change the party. They're afraid because the way the trade unions work, not me, I secure my own work. I'm a superintendent. I work for different companies. I don't go through the union to get my jobs. But when you're a regular carpenter, then if you get laid off, you have to go to the business agent. You have to say, hey, put my name on the list. And they're afraid to say, they just listen to what they say. But when they go in that voting booth, they're going to vote Republican, especially this year, big time.
Well, a lot of people do that. If you look at exit polling numbers, when people tell you who they voted for when they come out versus what the actual numbers end up being, what you end up seeing is that there are a lot of closet Republicans, closet Republicans. Take a listen to this clip, and I want to get your reaction.
Attack it both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that it needs to defend itself.
I don't know who that is standing next to Hakeem Jeffries, but she looks like she wants to go find a bunch of Dalmatians.
So I'm going to tell you about that clip, and then I want to get back to the unions afterwards. So I want to tell you about that, but I'll tell you about the clip. That clip you said. Now Biden compared himself to facing the two most historical crises in history: World War II and the Civil War. Now, last time I checked, we're not in the Civil War. And we're not fighting the Nazis and the Japanese right now. So but he talks about, the biggest threats to the United States is Russia because he's defending Ukraine. Now I believe, Ukraine needed aid to a certain point, but we need aid here in the United States of America. But I wonder why he likes Ukraine so much. Can you say?
Oh, that's an easy one.
Can you say Hunter? Can you say the big guy? Maybe is that why?
Well, so and what's funny about that big guy story, because Hunter actually in his testimony indicated that Joe was the big guy, right? He said it
exactly.
And then when the news came out on MSNBC, NBC, and other places, they said Hunter said that he wasn't. Yeah, they literally reported the opposite of what he said, and they all ran the story. Every one of them said, "Look, Hunter said that Joe wasn't the big guy," and then you turn over to the conservative stations and they were saying the exact opposite. Now NBC came out and originally said Hunter outed him as the big guy, and then they changed their story. It's wild. I can't believe that.
It's real wild. But what Biden was saying about how Russia is such a threat, which I believe that they are a threat to
Ukraine, not us.
Yeah. Well, I think they're somewhat of a threat to the United States, but that part. But
not militarily, not right now.
No. But cyber attacks. But they don't like the United States.
Sure.
But he compared the United States citizens to Russia. If you watched the State of the Union address, so he said that Russia is a threat to democracy, attacking Ukraine, and the biggest threat to democracy in the United States is domestic terrorism. When he talked
the MAGA extremists,
exactly. So he
People who love the
compared,
Constitution.
yeah, he compared us to Russia. I mean, where's this guy coming from? I mean, it's like it makes no sense, and
He's a
people buy
globalist.
into it, but nobody even looks at it to where, okay, he just said Russia's the biggest threat to Ukraine's democracy and our democracy, and the biggest threat to our democracy is domestic terrorism, which is half the people in this country that voted for Donald Trump. So he's comparing them to Russia.
Well, let's talk about the fact that Ukraine doesn't even have an existing democracy anymore. He just canceled elections. So here's a guy who
canceled for the last 3 years.
Yeah, but but since he took over, since Russia invaded, but he just announced that there would be no elections. He got rid of the free press. He got rid of the church. He literally closed the church down in Ukraine and told them the only way they could worship is if they did it the way that he told them how. And he gave them the prescribed way in which they could worship. He shut the internet down for most of them before Elon Musk came in with the Starlink.
They're not part of NATO.
That's the other thing. This is NATO's war, and I believe that wholeheartedly, because now that the Soviet Union does not exist anymore, NATO has no purpose. And if you look at where all the money and all the push for this particular war is coming from, it's coming from NATO. It's being pushed by NATO, and then they're running around trying to get Switzerland and all these other people to join NATO that were never a part of NATO, because they are causing. If we're in trouble right now and we're on the brink of World War III and we're worried about being attacked by China or any one of these factions that we've created enemies out of, it's because we're driving Russia into the arms of China by what we're doing. When very simply, all he said was, we're not going to allow you to build a missile defense system in Poland. We did. We're not supposed to move NATO any closer past the red line than we did. And we did. We broke our promise. And then, what is he supposed to do? And I'm not taking up for the guy. I think he's a megalomaniac. I think he's a psychotic sociopath. There's no doubt. But when you take a look at the things that he does and the things that he says as a president, I don't see any different when I look at Zelensky at all. No difference.
No, I agree with you there. I do. Absolutely.
Hey, Damon, before we get too far off onto the Ukraine stuff, I wanted to hear about about the unions. If you wanted to circle back to that real quick.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to say one of my union meetings, it's called Good to Do Order, where members are allowed to get up and speak to all the members. So there was basically maybe 250 members in this meeting. And, the business agents are, sitting, up on top at the podiums. And then when you're allowed to speak, you can come up and speak to your members. So I just basically gave a speech and talked about why we're still backing Democrats when Democrats have become the elitists. They're not on the working class people's side anymore. They're not at all. And, I always tell people too, if JFK was alive today, he'd be a Republican, because the parties are completely switched. They're not for working people at all. Mm-hmm. And so I just went on to say, just give them facts. I said, just think about it. We have almost a 10 million cheaper workforce that just came into this country that is going to undercut the unions. We just lost 180,000 jobs in January, U.S.-born citizen jobs to illegal immigrants, just in January alone.
And they can get union cards. They can get union cards without being here legally. Doesn't E-Verify prevent them from?
It doesn't even matter if they're union or not. Like,
no.
I'm asking, can an illegal immigrant go get a union job? That's my question.
Oh,
I've never asked. I've never how it works.
That's a good question. I probably, I would say, but I'll have to look into that. But I'm just talking about 180,000 U.S.-born citizen jobs, and nothing to do with the union, just blanket, and in January alone. So then, and I explained to them, I said, if you look at our insurance premiums went up 6.5% in January alone. Why? Because we have all these people here that they're people. They get sick. They have babies. They go to the hospital. Who's paying for it? We are. When I had my son 5 years ago, it cost $44,000 $44,000. Now my insurance paid $40,000 of it, and I had to pay the other $4,000.
That's how much it costs to have a baby now.
Yeah. Well,
What happened to the lady in the bonnet and boil hot water and
Yeah.
figure some way? We need a discount, man. What they call them? The I forget the name of them, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was 38,000 for me a couple years ago. So yeah, I feel it. It's the same thing.
Crazy.
$40,000
to have a baby.
So what do you think? These doctors went to school for so long, they're going to give it away for? Oh, I'm going to give this away for free. No, someone's got to pay for it. That's why insurance premium got jacked up. So we're paying more now. I said it's costing us money all around the board. If you
so would you get rid of the Affordable Care Act?
Absolutely.
What would you replace it with?
Go to work and get your own insurance.
So you get rid of the state exchange completely. Would you be okay with opening the insurances up to get rid of the exchange and go interstate with it? Would you go national so that they could compete? Or would you keep it within? Here's the two options, right? And I think Trump floated this at one point. He said, let's get rid of the exchange and open it up internationally, but nationally. That way the insurance companies could compete across state lines and it would lower the prices for insurance because they have more competition.
Yeah, I got you there. Yeah, yes. That is a good idea. It would be. And I even like what DeSantis did in Florida too, because when you look at the pharmaceuticals too, there should be no way that another country is paying cheaper prices than us. We're making up the difference for the other countries. So we actually create most of them, and we're the most innovative, in that field, and we pay the most. But other countries pay it a lot cheaper. So what DeSantis did when he was getting stuff from Canada to bring to Florida, he saved people a lot of money on that. I mean, it was a good move, but he shouldn't have to do that.
Camel Hot Guy got it. It was a midwife. I apologize. I just saw a pop. Thank you, brother.
Midwife.
Yeah, save you $40,000 having a baby. Just get you a midwife next time. You should have a lot of them running across the southern border. I'm sure there's a few.
I'll just real quick back to
did I just do racism?
Back to my union meeting. When I was talking to them as well, and I said, just think about it. I said Biden's trying to push this student loan debt relief, and I didn't go to college. My wife did. She has $40,000 roughly in student loan debt. And I don't think that everyone in this room, I would say that 99% of the people in this room didn't go to college. So why would I ask you to pay my wife's loan off? Because the money has to come from somewhere. And that's the other thing about informing people, because they think, oh, well, we're just going to get it free. No, where's the money going to come from? You can't just pump money into the economy and expect not to have inflation. I mean, with the stimulus packages, all that stuff, people get stuff for free.
Both ways. They got to increase the interest rate in order to fix this. So what do? If they do that, you're going to see the housing market stagnate. You're going to see no one's going to buy a new car or anything like that. Can you imagine a 14, 15 plus? I mean, really what we need right now to fix this, and I hate to say it, some people might get angry with me for saying it, but it's the truth. We need to raise interest rates. But unfortunately, that stymies business. But we got so much money in circulation. The only way to get rid of it and make your dollar worth a damn anymore is to get it out of circulation. You only do that by raising interest rates. I don't know what else we can do.
Yes, do by raising interest rates. But that's one factor of it. But you have to stop pumping money in the economy. So Biden, like you said, with the housing, giving all these credits, the illegals to buy houses, that's more money on an economy. Giving up, relieving people of their student loan debt, that's more money going to the economy. And Biden in the State of the Union said, we're going to bring down inflation. We're going to get the interest rates lower. No, you're not, because you're talking about giving away more free money, and you're going to create more money. And Milton Friedman, too much money chasing after too few goods.
It's a trick, though. It's a trick for the banks.
Yeah. Yeah,
think about it. If a guy goes in or a woman goes in to get a college loan, they go to a bank. They go and they sit down in front of the bank. They tell them what their needs are, what they're going to use the money for. They give them a student loan. So it's a contract that was entered into by two private parties.
Yes.
The bank was not part of that conversation at all. And they jump in and they say, well, no, we're going to negate the loan. Now they don't owe it to you, right? That's one way to do it. And then the bank ends up screwed because they don't get their money back. That's not what he's talking about. It's not loan forgiveness. What he's doing is using taxpayer money to give to the bank. The bank knows, the big banks know that the economy sucks so bad that they're probably never going to get paid back their money ever. Like these people are going to be working until they're saying, welcome to Walmart at 90. Now they can't retire. So what are they doing? This is literally a way for them to give money to the banks. It's not about the student.
The best way to do it.
Well,
the best way to do it would have been to cut out interest rates for the student loans. Like if you really wanted people to be able to pay off their loans, you cut out the interest rate so they just could pay back the principal. Because a lot of the problem that people are running into is that the interest rates are consuming the majority of the payment, so they're actually going to pay back 3-4 times what they actually borrowed. Now, I mean, they did enter into the agreement, but the way that our government has been giving out loans for kids to go to college has been predatory. So if we wanted to end this, the only way that I realistically see us doing it is to cut the interest rates. They'll still pay back what they borrowed, so everybody's going to make their money or get their money back, but they're not going to be paying 3, 4, 5 times. Like this needs to stop being a money-making scheme, and we need to end the predatory behavior of giving out these loans to 17, 18-year-olds where they can, I mean, they're not very bright.
Why can't we just have a public college system the same way we have a public school system? Why can't we just have a community college that picks up where high school leaves off and have people go there?
I don't know if I would trust it if it's government ran.
But you understand what I'm saying, right? Because we're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to send kids to be taught by people like Bill Ayers, right? You know who Bill Ayers is. We talked about it briefly. William Ayers is the guy who started Obama's political career, teaches college in New York, and he's a damn murderer. And he bombed the Pentagon, and he headed up a terrorist group in the United States called the Weathermen's Underground. Now he teaches college. How many more people are like him? Well, everybody that teaches at UC Berkeley. MIT even took about $30 million from China last year. Won't tell you why they did it. Same thing with Chicago, Illinois, Champaign, Illinois University. They took money, millions of dollars from the Chinese. The Biden Penn Center, he took $52 million from the Chinese to build that wing of the Biden Penn Center. And he sat there for 4 years when he wasn't elected and didn't teach one class. So all that money flowed into his coffers from China. And there's where to go? What for? This is the point I'm trying to make. Do we cut money off from outside of the country to go into our universities, to our local school system? And how do we make education more affordable while at the same time teaching people the skills they need to leave even at the high school level and go and be a carpenter or a welder or whatever, like we used to?
Well, that's what you do right there. I mean, college is overrated. I mean, not for doctors, lawyers, or people that, not for that. But if a kid comes out of high school and wants to take a class in lesbian dance theory, that's never going to get them anywhere, and they get charged.
You got me wanting to Google lesbian dance theory.
That was just a joke, but I think I mentioned these before. But it was just that fun thing to say because it's stupid. Because my wife got rope-a-doped into going for what she went for paralegal, and that never got a job in her field, and it never worked out. And a lot of kids go to school for all these different things that doesn't work out. You get out of college, and start off as like $12 an hour, and then you got to work your way up. Like, what's the point? Go to college. Why not work hard, join a union, and then you can make $100 $40,000 a year to be a union carpenter. Well, if you're foreman, whatever, or even higher, you make more than that. But because people are always going to need carpenters, always need plumbers, always going to need electricians, or and you have AI replacing stuff now. That some of these kids went to college for that's it's going to do it for them. So their jobs are going to be eradicated. So, but people are always going to need tradespeople. So that's a good thing, and it is a good paying job. But not everybody can do it. So, but if you're going to go to college, you go for something that's
because there's no safe places on a construction site. Let me just tell you.
Yeah, no, there's not.
There's no safe space. There's no political correctness.
Oh yeah, well, like I said, I think I told you before. I have my sign on the gate, and in the box, it's a feelings box. It's you check your feelings at the gate. You can pick them up on your way out, because that's the difference between my job and government. My job, if you don't produce, you get replaced.
That's right.
In government, if you don't produce, you get reelected.
Yep.
Well, yeah, they fail upwards in government, but I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to raise standards. Now and that's going to have to start earlier on. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been placating to the lowest denominator for the past couple of decades. And what that's produced is now everybody gets to go to college. Instead of going to college for a specific reason, they've made it to where you just go to college to like find yourself and figure out who you want to be while you're getting yourself tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And instead of actually actively seeking a goal, you're drinking and partying or finding yourself, as they say it now. But the only way one of the ways to fix it is to raise the standards in middle school, in high school, teach multiple languages when kids are young. And you can have, like, high school should have trades in it. There used to be shop class. There used to be classes, yes, that actually teach a skill and a trade. And then so if you find something that you want to do, then you go out and you find and you work for your passion, whether it be a trade school or a college. But they made it to where everybody just gets to go to college and they get to do whatever they want. And it doesn't matter who you are, you get approved for a loan. So of course you can go to college. That's the right thing to do. But they took the standards away from colleges now to where you don't like the degree doesn't mean as much as it used to, because they've flooded the market with so many different types of degrees. And I mean, now there's people that like study and they major in like gender studies, things like that, and just thinking about
while at the same time telling you gender doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
However you feel today. Now, I'm going to change the topic and go to a non sequitur, because we had a little conversation, and turns out that Damon went to see my favorite performer at concert, and he basically took the damn concert over. He went to see Aaron Lewis, right?
It was awesome.
Anyone watched this for long enough knows how I feel about Aaron Lewis. Aaron Lewis to me is the best damn performer out there right now. He brought country music back to what it used to be. And so you go to his concert and you're trying to tell the story. I don't want to tell your story. You tell the story.
So yeah, I've been to many of his concerts, with the whole, with Stained and many of them, but when it was just him doing acoustical. So I know that, every one that he does, maybe like 3-4 songs in, they bring him out of the class at like Johnny Walker Blue, and he starts harping all over the Democrats and telling everybody that they're the biggest scar on this country. He's very political. He's a big time Republican.
He played a drinking game with us last time he was here. So every time somebody yelled out F Joe Biden, he had to take a shot on the stage. After a while, I started to believe, is that water? Because he's taking a lot of shots right now. So go ahead. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. So you're trying to get backstage with him.
Yeah. So I wanted to get to him. I'm going to talk to him. And everyone told me there's no way you're going to get to him. So I went. It was in Atlantic City at the Ocean Casino. And so I went up to the guards and I tried to give him like $100. I'm like, where's his bus come in? And they weren't having it. They weren't going to tell me anything. So I had a front row ticket, and So I got there a little bit early, and I had my cards, the congressman cards. I wrote on the back of them, like 4 of them, and I said, I'm not, looking for money. I'm looking for a platform to get my name known. If you could look at my website, and I could have 5 minutes of your time. So I wrote that on the cards, and then I went up and down the aisle in my section, facing the stage, and I told everybody, I said, listen, I love Aaron Lewis, been many of his concerts, but I'm here for a reason. I said, I need to get his attention. And so when he starts talking politics, if you guys can help me out. And as soon as sure enough, like 3 or 4 songs in, that's when he started talking to politics. So I stood up, and he was only about 20 feet away from me, from where he was sitting on stage and where my seat was. And, so I stood up and I was like, Aaron. And then the whole crowd, well, not the whole crowd, but my section that I talked to stood up, and they're like, Damon. They're pointing at me. And he's like, what the hell? He's like, I thought this was my concert. So he had no idea. So I tossed my cards up on stage, and stagehand came, picked them up, and then he finished the concert, for about another hour or so. And then he walked backstage. Everyone was leaving. So I'm slow walking out. I'm like, come on, please, look at my cards. I'm hoping, and then sure enough, he came out, and he pointed at me and waved me back, and told the guard, let me backstage. We sat down. He said, do you want a glass of Johnny Walker Blue? I said, does a bear shit in the woods? And he said, he came back at me
If
real
you have
quick.
any kind of question about whether or not Damon's a regular guy at this point, you're not listening.
I said, there's a bear shit in the woods. He came right back at me. Not if he's at the zoo. I'm like, damn, that was quick.
You can't pull one over on a hillbilly.
Yeah. So anyway, after we got done talking, he said, you got a lot of stones doing what you're doing. Very good guy, but I like what you're doing. And he didn't get a chance to go through my whole platform, but he watched a video on my website, which is votedamongaldo.com, by the way. And he said, like, you're a regular guy and you're trying to do something. He said, next time, I'm in town, which is going to be, I believe it's March 30th, the date, and I'll have it in front of me. He said, wear the same t-shirt you're wearing now. Well, the one I was wearing, it said, believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. And he said, get my attention again. He said, and I'll promote the heck out of you. And I said, that's great. So I hope you remember.
Is that in 22 days?
That's that's the end of March. I believe it's the 30th. I have to double check, but I know it's towards the end of March.
Have you got my ticket? Because I will fly back. Hey, listen, this guy comes to town here about 3-4 times a year, and for the last several years, I've seen him. I mean, I had a Zoom call with him once. We did a Zoom call together, and I got the little Zoom call picture with the guy. And he just, for me, he's a take no shit kind of a guy, and he tells it the way it is. And they can't cancel him. They cannot. Matter of fact, they don't even try. And he says everything most other people think. Have you ever been to an Aaron Lewis concert, Maurice? Ever?
No.
There it is. There it is. Hey, send that to me. Send that to me, and I'll put that. I'll put that up here with this.
He was the most down to earth guy ever, man. He
really is.
Maybe we'll get to meet him one day, Eddie.
Don't tease me like that.
Well, I will try next time when I go to his concert at the end of the month. I will definitely talk about you guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's I'll get starstruck. I hang around musicians. I have a couple of friends who are signed and that sort of thing. And so I was out one night with I'll tell you a story. Was out with Michael Grimm, who won America's Got Talent about 8-9 years ago, something like that. And we were talking, and he was performing. I ended up performing with him too. But he was performing down off the strip at the Tuscany at the time. And we were talking about female rock groups, and he's like, who's the best female? And I'm like, Heart. And nobody's messing with Heart. Like, not one female rock group out there is anywhere near Heart. Like, I was talking about Ann Wilson. I was like, I don't give a damn how old she is. She's sexy as hell. And And he's like, he tells me to hold on. Like, I thought he was making a phone call, gets on his phone. He lays his phone down on the table. We're outside having a drink. And he says, oh, say hello. And I hear this female's voice come across the phone on the speaker. Hello. You know, who is this? Oh, this is Ann. Like, he put Ann Wilson on the phone. So, yeah, man, listen, I get starstruck with nobody, but Aaron Lewis is a guy out of all of them. I mean, this is the guy I would love to have a beer with. I'd love to just sit down and have a chat with. He's that guy. I mean, he's as much like a regular dude as anyone that I've ever seen. And he's got some very strong opinions, and I'd love to have him on the show. Hell, I'd like to have my dream podcast would be like Aaron Lewis and Tom McDonald at the same time.
Well, that's some lofty goals there, bud.
There it is. You got to shoot for the stars, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get starstruck either, but what kind of starstruck me in the opposite way is that he wasn't acting like a star. He was like a regular guy, you know, and that was the greatest part about it. So that kind of, I guess you would say, starstruck me a little bit because I was like, wait, this guy, he's awesome. And I pretty much knew, you know, his demeanor and what type of person he was. I've been to so many of his concerts. I follow him, and but just getting to meet him and he invited me backstage, I was like, man, he's a regular guy, and you know the things that he said to me were awesome, and he's a patriot.
Yeah, they've been egging him on to run for office for years, but he doesn't want to do it, and he's got his life, and he likes his life, and loves hunting and all the good old boy stuff, and I don't think he'd give any of that up to go to DC. Well, I respect you guys that want to take your life and upend it to go serve the way that you're getting ready to do. I mean, it must be a hell of a thing to do. I mean, I can imagine my everyday life, my 9 to 5 and everything I got going, and I go to my wife and I say, I want to run for Congress. First of all, she'd look at me like I was crazy because they would tear my ass up. But you guys, I mean, the scrutiny that you get, the microscope that you get put under, the lies, the aspersions that constantly being cast at you, you're under a microscope like never before. So to willingly and wantingly to step out of your comfort zone to do that deserves an enormous amount of respect, especially someone who does a regular job the way that you do. To make this decision, I mean, how long did it take? I mean, did you stay up? How many weeks were you thinking about this? And then what was it that finally pushed you over the edge and said, I'm doing this?
Well, I'll tell you what, like I said, I started following politics even more closely when I had my children, and I would talk about it a lot. And here's the story. So a buddy of mine, he's actually a chemist, but his name is Ben, and shout out to you, Ben. He makes websites kind of on the side. So he said that he would make me a website if I ran for Congress because he was tired of hearing me talk about it. And I was like, Congress? I said, really? I said, should I start off just a little bit smaller than that? So I dismissed him. I really did. And but the very next day I was leaving my job in Princeton. I pulled over to get gas. I ran into this guy that was actually running for Congress in that district. And we had a nice long conversation, about 30 minutes long. And I said, man, I love what you're talking about. I said, but I can't vote for you. I said, I don't live in your district. So he turned to me and he said, you seem pretty passionate about it and know what you're talking about. He said, why don't you run for Congress in your district? So I'm driving home on 2 nights in New Jersey. I said, wait a minute, that's 2 people 2 days in a row that just challenged me to run for Congress.
It's a sign.
Yeah, and that's no BS. That really happened. And so I get home and I tell my wife, I said, Heather, I said, I'm running for Congress. And she said,
on the drive home, just from the conversation, the drive home made you make that decision.
Yeah, driving home, I'm like, wow, that's 2 people 2 days in a row. So I told my wife, I'm running for Congress. She said, no, you're not. Expletive.
Yeah, and that's exactly how my wife would react too.
Yeah, and she said, how are you going to do that? I said, I have no clue, but I'm going to figure it out. And I did. I was an unknown. I had no team, no campaign manager, no treasurer. I did, I just figured out on my own how to get my signatures and what I had to do. And I got all my signatures. I went up to Trenton and I literally got in the very last day with 10 minutes left on the clock because I just got there, from work with my signatures, and I was looking at the clock. I'm like, I'm not going to make it. And they called me in with 10 minutes left, and I got on the ballot. So I asked the lady, I said, does this mean I'm on the ballot? She's like, yeah, it does. I'm like, oh, okay. So
all right,
then I'm like,
here we go.
Then I'm like, now
real.
what? So then I, reached out to a couple people to see who could be a manager, and people reached out to me. And then, just by putting it out there, there was a lot of people that started to reach out to me, that people I didn't know that I'm very good friends with today, that helped me out with my campaign. And I found a treasurer, found a campaign manager, and then got volunteers. Not many. I didn't raise much money. I spent mostly my own money, and my wife wanted to kill me over that as well. But I had 6 weeks pretty much to campaign, and those short 6 weeks, I got 44% in Gloucester County, which is good. Yeah, I after work every single day, and I was working in Jersey City, which is 2 hours from here. So it was 2 hours drive up, 2 hour drive back.
Who are you running against that you got 44% of the vote? That's amazing.
Claire Gustafson, who ran so many different times, but she lost every election. She lost 7 elections, 3 for Congress, and then General Assembly so many times, and school board, all kinds of stuff. But they keep running the same candidate. But I only had time to get to Gloucester because I cover Gloucester County, Camden County, and a little bit of Burlington. So I live in Gloucester County. So that's where the areas that I hit the most. I would get home from work. I would take like maybe 3 hours to go door knocking until about 9 o'clock at night. I couldn't knock on people's doors later than that. So I got as far as I could. I rented a billboard.
Not in Camden, you're not.
But in Camden, well, that's the difference between me and other candidates going to Camden. That's what I'm going. I've been going to Camden.
You
lately.
feel comfortable there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
So, Maurice, if you don't know, Camden is about that life. That is that place. It's
Camden is they dropped down a little bit. It used to be the murder capital of the country. They're 14th right now, but that's only because places like
moving up.
Like Chicago, Minnesota, Baltimore, all those they actually accelerated even more. Crime is through the roof. So, but Camden is pretty much where it has been for a long time, but other places got even worse. That's because of the Democrats.
Yeah, we treat criminals like victims. I've played the clip on the show many a times to show people, but I had a friend of mine who came from the inner cities of Baltimore. His name is Timothy Reynolds. We grew up together. Him and my best friend, they were best friends. They lived together. I mean, we grew up in that neighborhood. We were not just all friends. I mean, we lived through the same BS. We became closer than friends. And here's a guy who worked his way out of that neighborhood to become an engineer and all that. And he would come back down and still hang out with everyone in that neighborhood. And he was driving home through downtown, and some squeegee kids came over to clean his window and that sort of thing. And he told them no. And they broke his windshield wiper. When he got out and confronted them, they shot him 4 times, and they got it on video. I've played the video. And they treated the kid, the 14-year-old who did it, like he was a victim, and they try to make my buddy out to be the bad guy. We live in a crazy world, and one where we need the law back. We need law and order back, and we need it back indiscriminately. I don't care about how hard your life was or why you committed the crime or anything. I only care about the letter of the law. The letter of the law.
It goes back to standards again. What they've done throughout every part of our society is just remove the standards unless you're of the wrong ideology. Then they apply every little scrutin. Like what they're doing for Trump is they make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. And then if you missed one, then they're going after you. Same thing they've been doing with the January 6th prisoners. They tack on a terrorism charge on that to give them 20 plus years, putting people in prison for 10 years for stepping on grass, or I mean, some of them, were violent, but it not something that like would get 20 plus years in prison for it. So we just need to bring back the actual standards, and like instead of having,
you cut out for a second, so I kind of filled in that gap.
Oh,
so go ahead. Yeah.
Oh,
you're good.
But we need to bring the standards back. We need to bring it back in schools. We need to bring it back in the law, and we need to apply it equally.
Equally, and that's exactly what didn't happen on January 6th. In fact, look at this. That is a Blaze reporter. That guy is a reporter for the Blaze, and he was there on January 6th. He was recording, and like many other reporters, like many other news agencies, he wasn't there as a protester. He was a member of the press, but he just happened to be a member of the conservative press. So they arrested this guy, and they had to let him go immediately, but they arrested him. Yeah, sad.
Yeah, it's insane. Like we talked about, the summer of love, and nobody's spending time like with the January 6th lasted like 2 hours.
2 hours.
No,
yeah.
I believe that it was definitely wrong. It was a bunch of idiots that did something they shouldn't have done. And,
but a lot of them were provocateurs, and the provocateurs didn't get in trouble. Ray Epps didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So that, yes, but I mean, I'm not condoning it in any sense or any.
Yeah, no, we don't either. We don't either. If you put your hands on a cop, or you broke a window, or you forced your way in, or you committed violence, then you deserve to answer for your crime. But most of those people that were there that day were just peacefully walking through the Capitol, and a lot of the people being arrested didn't even go into the Capitol.
Yeah, exactly. You just had to be there. You'd be just walking by and get arrested, and they throw you in solitary confinement and all that. I mean, they blew it way out of proportion. Now, like I said, I don't condone it, but I don't condone the punishment that people are getting for it, and how the media blows it up, and how the Democrats use it every single time that they talk, and how the media runs with it and pushes it out there even more, like it was the insurrection. And they compare it to the worst thing that happened since the Civil War. Like, really? The one person
9/11 or Pearl Harbor. Was it Kamala Harris who said that it was like Pearl Harbor, 9/11, January 6th? It's like that. You know how disgraceful that is to compare those two. A bunch of unarmed protesters went in. The only person who got shot was Ashley Babbitt, who was a protester. Like, I mean, this has been said 100 times.
By
I'm
a
sure
cop
a lot of
who
people
got
watch this.
a raise, and he got a promotion, where the cops that shot Jacob Blake and Brittany Taylor and all these, Derek Chauvin. Now we know Derek Chauvin now with the autopsy report that got made public because of another trial where it was made public. We know Derek Chauvin didn't die because of George Floyd didn't die because of Derek Chauvin's knee on his neck. We know that now for certain. It's not a question.
Yes.
The autopsy report was made public through the trial, but yet they denied Derek Chauvin's appeal. Why? Because the public scrutiny. They're scared. So an innocent man has to spend most of the rest of his life in prison as a result. Michael Byrd, the coward who shot a 4'9" or 10 foot a woman that was and who had two cops close enough to grab her like this. They were standing right behind her. And the members, there were 3 members of Antifa that were around her. In fact, they were the ones who broke the window that she tried to climb through. They later on went on to do CNN interviews and their own podcasts admitting their affiliation with Antifa. But that day they had on MAGA hats and the whole bit, and they brought changes of clothes. They went there with the intention of making themselves look like they were right-wing protesters, and they even threatened police officers, and they got it all on film. They got all of this on film. So there's no question. What I'm telling you is 100% fact. The Epic Times did an amazing in-depth video piece on this, where they just went in and they interviewed everybody and they showed all the footage and they explained it. We need to get these people out of jail. We need the truth to prevail, not people's feelings. And I feel like today more than ever, we kowtow to people's feelings, and the truth takes a back seat. And I think that we suffer as a society as a result.
Hey,
yeah, that's why I love Ben Shapiro. His famous line: "Facts don't care about your feelings."
Yeah, yeah,
it's a fact.
Sure enough.
So speaking of January 6th, really quick, I wanted to let everybody know that Monday we are actually having the lectern guy on. So
yes.
Adam Johnson, I want to say. Gosh, I'm terrible with names. I need to write it down. But yeah, the lectern guy is coming on our show Monday at 6 p.m. as normal. So, and we're gonna discuss January 6th a little bit more in depth from a different perspective. So
Adam he now builds lecterns that when he sells them, he uses them to help other people affected by January 6th, basically to help the political prisoners of January 6th. So you may remember Adam as the guy who's actually carrying the lectern with him on J6 and the one that was all over the news as a result. So it'll be a very good interview. Don't miss that. And if people want to support you, Damon, where do they go to do that?
Go to votedamongaldo.com. And you can click on the donate button, sign up with your email, or even just spread the word. Go on social media, tell people about me, tell me that I always tell people the hardest part of my campaign is to convince people that I'm doing this for the right reason. I'm not doing it for fame. I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it for the future of my state and my country and the future of my children and everyone else's children, because we're heading in the wrong direction and somebody has to do something. And like I said earlier, this isn't Vegas. I didn't come to lose. But if I happen to lose, I'm going up against, the machine here, the big time machine. If I inspire more people to stand up and do what I'm doing, then I've done part of my job.
So Damon, real quick, I don't want people to miss out on what you just said, but you froze up. So go ahead and repeat it. I want to make sure you get that out there. So the last thing we heard was that to go to vote Damon Galdo, and so go ahead.
Yeah, so to support me, please go to votedamongaldo.com. And like I said earlier before, this isn't Vegas. I didn't come to lose. But if I happen to lose, because I'm going up against the machine, it's going to be an uphill battle, but I don't plan on losing. I'm going to fight that battle. But if I inspire more people like me to step up and do what I'm doing, then I've done part of my job, because we have to do something. You can't let it go. You can't just watch it and think that someone else is going to make it better. You have to do it yourself. And everyone has to get out there and share their voice and not be afraid of being canceled from the woke culture or anything like that. You have to step up. Our voices need to be heard, and they haven't been in a long time, and media won't allow that to happen either. So we have to figure out a different way to get out there. And also, when it comes to the mail-in ballots, we got to – I don't like them. I like election day, just like most Republicans do. I don't like election month. I don't like any of that. But if you can't beat them, join them, and then join them. Do the mail-in ballots if need be, and once we get into power, we can get rid of it. And that's the only way we're going to get rid of it, because the Democrats cheat with the mail-in ballots and ballot harvesting. I don't know if you have it out there, but we have it in New Jersey. You can ballot harvest.
There was recently a campaign that was overturned, an election that was overturned in Connecticut due to ballot harvesting, and then another person who actually went to prison over it in North Carolina years back. And it's been a plague on the electoral system for some time, and they ignore it until it happens to them, because you can look at history of Democrats constantly saying that the election was stolen from them. And so it's not specific to any one party. In fact, Clinton Curtis went down and testified in Florida after George Bush won against Al Gore back in the day about a supposed technology firm that was hired to do some very shady things, and he testified before Congress about doing those things and being the one who made it happen. It's pretty wild. Look it up. It's Clinton Curtis. Just Google Clinton Curtis and look at the videos and listen to what he's saying. It's pretty eye opening. But go ahead. What were you saying, Maurice?
The Tribe of Patriots, that's kind of the brand that I've been building, and I've been trying to inspire people to exactly what you just said. You know, you have the capability, you have the opportunity, and by stroke of luck, maybe it was, where people had mentioned that, hey, you know, you could run for Congress, and you did. You stepped up. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that, I mean, as far as being associated with people in the Tribe of Patriots, and what I've been trying to build is to inspire people to do exactly what you're doing right now, which is stepping up for your community, your family, your country. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I mean, good on you. And
I love the fact that he doesn't have the typical mentality of the person that's running for office. And I think that's what served Trump so well. And I see that when I look at you. I see a guy who doesn't fit the mold of what the lobbyists and the special interests normally pay to go in the position that you're fighting for. You're us, you're me, you're him. And that's what we need. Guys, if you want something different, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. And we always constantly say, I wish things would be different. These guys don't understand what we go through on a daily. Well, Damon does. Damon does. So if you want someone who's actually going to go out there and support you and actually stand up for you, you're going to want a regular everyday Joe, which is what Damon is. And Guy, I wish you so much luck. And hopefully when this is all said and done, I get to come down and see you in the Capitol. That would be awesome. Amazing. I would love to come down and do a podcast right in the Capitol. Well, I'm already doing that, but I would love to go down and do it from your office as well.
But no, I mean, speaking on that about, you know, they don't want regular people like me to run. I want to just real quick, just touch on what the county line is in New Jersey. So basically, you know, I cover 3 different counties. District 1 does. So I have to get the county line, which is basically the endorsement from the GOP. And that comes directly from the county chair, one individual. So one individual in Burlington, one individual in Gloucester, one individual in Camden decide who gets the endorsement. Now, they keep giving it to the same person over and over again, which makes no sense to me. You know, like you said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I mean, I'll just bring up this stats real quick. 1 second. So basically, there's 3 people that are running in my district, and they're one of them his name's Teddy, and he ran for lower level offices during the time when Chris Christie was governor, and he flipped the county red for like the first time in a long time. So and he ran for LD4 2013. He ran for school board 2012. He ran for freeholder. He ran for township council. Lost all 4 of them. This is in the Christie era, which I'm not a fan of Christie, by the way, but still, he flipped Camden County red for the first time. So if he couldn't win these lower level elections where he got only like 18% of the vote max on all of them, and they're going to give him the county line, because the county line, basically, if you get it and you get the endorsement, when you go into the voting booth, you know, you're going to have Trump and then everyone else underneath, whoever gets it. So if I got it, I'd be right underneath Trump. A lot of people go in there and just light up a column.
Down ballot. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone out there.
I'm not going to lie. I'm guilty of a down ballot.
Yeah. And then the other one is Claire Gustafson. And that's who I ran against last time. And she did win the primary. But like I said, I only had 6 weeks, but I did pretty well. And I don't want to confuse anybody. I got 44% in Gloucester. That's where I had time to campaign. But I got 32% between the 3 counties. So either way, it's still pretty good. But I just don't want fact check. You know, he didn't get 40 so. But I mean, Claire, I mean, they're looking to give her the county line as well in Gloucester. And Claire lost for Congress in 2014. She lost in 2020. She lost in 2022. She lost county freeholder in 2016, 2018, 2019. Lost General Assembly 2015. Why do they keep? If I go to a racetrack, I don't bet on a three-legged horse. So
sounds like controlled opposition to me.
Exactly.
I mean, this is exactly what we're looking at, and we see it all the time. You know, this guy appears to be part of the GOP, appears to be conservative, when in fact he's not. He's just there so that it appears that I have an opponent. It's from the start. I already know what's going to happen. She's just a paid loser. She gets paid to lose. That's what she does.
Yes. That's what I was getting at. I mean, I'm not saying that for a fact, but it's
we're saying that.
No, but it makes you think. So, But all right, guys.
So,
listen.
Guys,
thank you very much.
Go support Damon. Go to his website, Damon Galdo. Vote Damon Galdo for Congress.com. And definitely need your support. Put the word out. Share this podcast. Listen, we need a fighter. We need a regular guy. I would love to be a fly on the wall when you walk in Congress the first day around these guys. I think a lot of them are going to be intimidated by you, to be quite honest with you. They're not from regular life. These people aren't. They're very sheltered folks, most of them. I think, there are a few that I really like. And I mean, obviously, the Bobert and the MTG and those types, I think that you'll fit right in with. You'll fit right in there. Be no problem whatsoever. But I have a hard time to think that I could ever sit there and be close enough to AOC, just sitting that close and not just give her just a full-throated, just unleash on her. Just, God, I can't stand that lady. But guys, I don't know how I could react. I mean, just to walk past Ilhan Omar and not just throw a couple 4-letter words in her direction. I have a hard time with it. I really do. But guys, as usual, the silent majority, you need to stop being silent and stand your ground. We'll see you next time on the Patriots Prayer. You guys have a good week.
Thank you very much. And again, it's votedamongaldo.com. And listen, I can't do this alone. I hate to ask for it, but if anyone can, donate whatever they can, because I'm going up against a machine. Look up Donald Norcross and look up his family. He's the most powerful family in the state of New Jersey and one of the most powerful families in the country. So it's going to be an uphill battle. So I need all that.
We got Holden Armenta to the Super Bowl, and we did it with the average amount of the donation was $37. So, and we raised $11,350 at the end of the day. So guys, awesome. If you're listening, just know this: $5, $10, $20 donations mean a lot. And it counts for a lot. So if you can, for the price of an energy drink, a cup of coffee, go to Damon's site and throw $20 at him. You may not think it's not, but it's a lot. It goes very far, especially when you have hundreds and thousands of people doing it. And guys, when we have America First candidates go to Washington on our behalf, they don't have to be from your state. So don't think you got to be from New Jersey to think that Damon is not there representing the United States. Just as much as he's representing New Jersey as an America First candidate, he's got a vote. And that vote, cast the right way, is good for the United States as a whole. So make sure that you put the right candidates in the right place and we get away from this uniparty stuff. Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Maurice?
Thanks for coming on, Damon. I support you. I love it. I love what you're doing. I love your background. And it's good. It's good to have America First Patriots stepping up to the plate. So thank you again.
All right, guys. See you next time.
I appreciate it.
My people of this country, and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is America.